Cloud computing, as we all know, is a global phenomenon, although I think sometimes in Washington we get so focused on what the US federal government is doing that we tend to overlook that. And not only is the private sector adopting cloud computing at a very rapid rate, governments around the world are also doing that. And Japan actually has some very exciting activities going on. And I'm delighted today to have with me Yoshiaki Tojo. And he is the Director of Information Services Industry Division at METI, Ministry of the Economy, Trade, and Industry in Japan. And METI is really in charge of the cloud computing agenda. And you're looking at the person who is in charge of cloud computing for METI. So we're delighted to have Tojo-san with us. Prior to working his current post, he was with the OECD in Paris for several years. He was in Bangkok as a commercial attaché. He has a graduate degree from Yale University. So not only does he have real expertise with the Japanese government when it comes to cloud computing, but he also has an international perspective that he can bring to bear on the issues. So Tojo-san, thank you very much for joining us. We're delighted to have you.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Yoshi Tojo, METI official in charge of cloud computing. I'm very excited to be with you as one of the leading countries of cloud computing, and we are rapidly catching up in this cloud arena, as well as the one of the major beneficiary of what you are starting and creating. And it is echoed in every part of the world, including Asia. And I have many chance to attend this kind of conference in the Asian region, like China, Singapore, or Thailand recently. And they all talking about a similar kind of challenge and endeavor as just Don is explaining in NIST activities. It's an iterative and evolutionary process, and gradually formulating a best practice, and they are learning each other. And I'm part of this international communication. And if my presence here as helping to make far more converging of the best practice of cloud computing, either in purchasing side or vendor side, that's my true honor and pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you, Tojo-san. So I think in the dialogue, we'll just have a back and forth with several questions and issues, and then at the end we'll open it up for discussion so that everyone here can have an opportunity to address some questions to Tojo-san. So we'll start with the big picture. As you look at Japan's effort to really create a knowledge and information society, how does cloud computing fit into that effort?
It's big. Well, as you know, we are now living in a very exciting juncture, and we have a cloud computing, of course, and wide broadband penetration, along with the newly introduced various human interfaces such as iPad, smartphone, and others, and accumulate data here and there. In digital form, now waiting for us to analyze and extract values from it. That's we call it the data explosion or infoplosion in Japan. And also in rapid deployment of sensor and actuator networks, that things are communicating each other and even automatically controlling your physical world. It's a physical cyber-physical system in the United States. So all those are requiring a ubiquitous connection and high-powered processing and storage power to everybody. And cloud computing with the high-speed network is the essential infrastructure to realize all those good things in information and communication technology to be creating real values for citizens and business community as well as the public services.
Mm-hmm. And the discussion here is focused primarily on how governments can use cloud computing to become more efficient. But another policy objective is how can you use it to really strengthen the economy, spur economic growth, and create jobs. And do you have any thoughts you want to share us about sort of broader cloud as a driver of economic growth?
Well, as I said, that there is a huge potential of those new explosion of digital information waiting to be taken advantage to create new services and giving us a solution for the societal challenges such as aging or the environmental problems and others. And government can be a catalyst to be an early adapter of cloud computing and providing through the seed technology and data through open government activities as you see in here in United States. And also decreasing the risks and uncertainty as posting roadmaps or visions or guidelines on the best practices and to conforming business actors actively engaging in the cloud computing technologies and making efforts to building new business models which is fully suitable for the available technologies in the cloud computing basin. I named many, but probably I stop here and come back to you.
All right, so that's enough for the big picture. Now let's plunge into to sort of the nitty-gritty of cloud computing. I think METI, just like NIST, has identified several different cloud computing models. There's the public cloud, the private cloud, the hybrid cloud, the community cloud, I think the multi-cloud. And how does METI think about those different cloud models as it applies to government adoption in Japan?
The most typical or the most exciting cloud computing phenomena started in the B2C era, and it's some kind of monolithic services and a huge data center as public clouds. So with some good traits in public clouds, and the scalability or agility or connectedness and good collaboration forms. But the second round of cloud computing, including the government adaptation of cloud computing, the use case, as Don explained, is heterogeneous. Well, some are most suited for the public cloud, as we did in temporary programs to engage to the citizens and gathering their ideas and construct new policy measures. That type of activities, we didn't need that much secured and well-prepared platform. Rather, we valued agilities, we valued connectedness, we valued openness. So we're using public cloud in that kind of perspective. And on the other hand, more long-standing and sensitive data, it might be suitable for go for the private cloud solutions and make a more customized system run and at the same time taking advantage of some consolidation values of cloud type of architecture in private platforms. So that is a private. And I think for the time being, I don't know about 10 or 20 years from now, it's beyond the infinity in ICT fields. I think what's happening in here and there is a kind of both. We have some area of use cases is suitable for private cloud. In some use cases, we go for the advantage, taking advantage of public cloud. So every entity has some sort of mixture of public, private, and even proprietary systems interconnected for their ICT solutions. So that's a hybrid cloud. Mm-hmm. So how to sort out your business process or data structure and classified it into each categories which suitable for specific cloud typology is a challenge for not only government but for all private sectors. So and that is the one message why the METI is promoting a hybrid solution with with serious effort for the business process reform, and those combine both. And multi-cloud you mentioned, that it's sometimes called a federation cloud, is the natural exploration of those hybrid clouds emergence. If we have a multiple hybrid clouds for each entity, then we would like to see that some linkage and a data link or even a data consolidation of those platforms. And Don correctly point out that the interoperability and mobility is quite important. And in order to achieve that, we would like to have some kind of easy migration and easy link between those cloud platforms. So that is the multi-clouds, and we like to see some shared protocols or data formats, a minimum convergence, so that we are achieving the intrinsic or distinctive needs of each systems, but at the same time, we have a scale and scope economy, which is the core of the value of the cloud computing solution.
Thank you. There's been some discussion of what's known as a Kasumigaseki cloud. And for those of you who don't know, Kasumigaseki is the neighborhood in downtown Tokyo where all the federal government buildings are located. So that would be sort of a central government cloud. And how do you see the adoption or the progress of the Kasumigaseki cloud and the central government adoption as opposed to state and local adoption of cloud computing? What are the different drivers and what's the pace that you see there?
Okay, basic thrust for the cloud computing solution is the same. Efficiency and cost saving, as well as a good collaboration platform with the easy maintenance and agility. So it is the same, but the slight difference, if any, is Kasumigaseki or the government department in the U.S. government department is distinctive area of applications, say healthcare and transportation control, or in trade administration is different, and it's not necessarily easy to share the same application for each ministries or each department. So we starting from the identifying the area of the common business administration procedure, so that we can migrate it and share the same application platform for all ministry. It is ongoing, and it is not happening in a day or two. But we in the new government ICT policies created in the last year, we establishing this Kasumigaseki, some kind of common cloud application platform by year 2012. That means that's next year. And turn the eyes to the local government. There are much of overlapping administrative tasks handled by, in Japanese case, 3,000 local government and multi-layer level. So there's much values for the cloud solutions, which the multiple local government entities sharing the common application with a slight modification. That is the best for the, well, I don't know, with public or semi-public cloud. And it is also the imperative, and the local government has much more close accountability needs to the citizens. Okay, so the budgetary pressures or the cost-saving pressure are high, in a sense, high in the local government, and then the cloud solution can bring very quick results of those moves. It's not necessarily the case for the central government, which is a one-year budget cycles and hefty, lengthy legal procedures in case of parliament, in our case, diet. So it's not easy for us to jump into cloud, full-fledged cloud solutions easily, but it's not necessarily the case in local government. Local government in Japan is more like United States. It's directly elected head of the local government states have some strong voice over their process and information architecture. So in a sense, it's for them there is much merit and less barrier to jump for it. Of course, local government it's its own difficulty. They are looking for each other's and or central government to see what is allowable practices. For example, in terms of security or data protection, privacy, and others. And cloud solutions is not necessary to the critical point that each local government CIOs easily jump in. So they have to explain to their own citizens or their own parliaments that it is safe solution and value for money solution for them. Central government can show the leading examples. Okay, even the central government use the cloud computing solution for those use cases. So why not the local government can't use it? So those kind of guiding laws could be handled by the central government, and our ministry have already a couple of cloud solutions in place, and that is a good precedence for local government who are trying to go for that. And we facilitating the information exchange between local governments so that some adaptation examples can be shared with their similar counterparts in other regions. And of course, it could be done by vendors, sales talk, but we can have some credentials for that is the success story in certain regions, and that could be replicated to the other.
Right. Thank you. So now let's. I'd like to look at Echo Points, which was a METI cloud application, and it was Salesforce worked with METI to implement Echo Points. It's built on Force.com. And basically, Echo Points certified refrigerators, air conditioners, TVs, basic appliances as green in a 1 to 5 rating in their evaluation system. And then those who bought these products could obtain Echo Points, and then they could use those Echo Points when they purchased Echo or green electronic home appliances afterwards. And I actually was just looking at some of the numbers for this application last night. And they're quite astonishing. So Echo, 45 million Echo awards, 40 million application forms, 37 million Echo Point applications, 36 million accounts, 7.5 million events, almost 6 million cases. So this is a huge amount of data that scaled very quickly, and I think it really shows the scale of these internet cloud platforms. But Tojo-san, perhaps you could just tell us a little bit about Echo Points and your experience there.
This Echo Point is, of course, it's a recent initiative to facilitate more eco-friendly energy conservation electric appliances. But it's a part of the emergency measures to buoy up Japanese economy in the middle of the financial crisis. In the year 2008 and 2009. So it is an auxiliary budget, and we have a very short lead time to put those electric voucher system in place. And we first contact to Japanese SIIAs to make a proprietary system to run the system, and that Well, I don't say about a pricing tag, but at least a time to those systems in place. They told us it's a 3 months developing period and 3 months test run, and so for say 6 or 9 months leading times. And so it is a bit too late for us to for our needs, and we go for the cloud solutions, and with the help of Salesforce, in this case, we can put this electric voucher system in place in very short, I think, couple of months,
Yes.
a period. Mm-hmm. Of course, it is not in a full-scale installation at first, but it is easily scaled out as this electric voucher system gotten popularity and more data flow into the system. So we are happy for those examples. That is a kind of one great success story for the cloud computing solutions. And others are the government 2.0 platform for Japan, and we do not only our ministries, but a couple of ministries do kind of engaging into the citizens for certain specific issues, such as how to introduce ICT in education, or how to facilitate, I think it's a cloud computing itself, but anyway, and those well-managed policy discussion platform is well-run and have a good records of citizens' participation, and we're happy to use a cloud solutions for that, since this is a temporary and it is not stable in data flows, and cloud solutions best fit to the connectivities and reaching out to citizens without fearing much about how many data access per day in prior. So there's few, but I think in those new policy areas, there is a growing attempt to use cloud solutions in Japanese government, along with the more fundamental restructuring in the Kasumigaseki crowd or local government crowds in full scale.
Yes, and just one other case study, which we know about at Salesforce because we were involved in it, is the Japan Postal Savings Bank.
Right.
So as it was being privatized, they had to stand up a compliance solution very quickly, a customized application. And I think it's a little older than Echo Point's. And it involved 40,000 post office employees, 24,000 locations, and ultimately had feedback from 127 million customers in Japan. Again, all of this was run through the Salesforce cloud. Do you have any comments on that application? Any lessons from that?
I think that the Japan Post are quite happy about that system, and we would just here's Salesforce. He knows well about the precedents, but not only those big players, well-known players in cloud computing, but also the venture cloud services are now active in these areas. And my second example, IdeaBox, that is a government 2.0 platform run by one of the Japanese ventures, and which saving us, I think the cost is at one tenth of those which we initially took other big well-known cloud solutions. So depend on the use cases, you can have various choices, and the most important thing is to think about what is your needs and what kind of security or durability or what kind of a service level you require. And if it is well thought out in the first place, then cloud is quite secure and a good solution for the public services. That is the lessons we've learned from it. Of course, we are not as fast as and dramatic as U.S. government to go first for cloud solutions. We still in the middle of the hammering out what is the best use areas that go for cloud. But Yeah, the cloud solution with the business process reform hand in hand is now happening in central government as well as the local governments.
Right. And an issue that always comes up, it's usually near the top of the list for anyone thinking about cloud computing, is security. And we actually had a chance to discuss this at some length last night. So would you share your views about cloud security and sort of how you think about that from a perspective of METI as government agencies begin to adopt cloud solutions from different vendors?
Yeah, security is the one major issues we have to think, well thought before go for the cloud solutions. And I think it is shared with these tables, but we don't see any intrinsic weakness in the cloud in the security or durability issues. Of course, it is a different challenge as a proprietary system in the cloud system. Of course, cloud is connected through the network, so it's not necessarily the case in the in-house data rooms. So it's different, but except for the highly classified information such as diplomatic information or defense system, we do not see any hard barrier that we can't go for the cloud solutions. Of course, as I said, first we need to classify the data and processes due to the security needs or availability needs and all those service level needs. And if we first will sort out the system, then I think we can go for the market and appropriate solution in the cloud. So the one thing we wish to have in near future to further develop in this area is accountability and transparency. Well, I don't think that technologically it's okay for cloud to in place, but how to be how to measure the actual performance of the cloud vendors and how it is reflected into the specific contract between users and vendors are still in the middle of development. So we would like to see more in the scope of the available solutions, and we would like to see a much bit more transparent and accountable markets, and if necessary, with the looking for with the collaboration of the other government standard bodies, standardization and the measurements or disclosure on those performance levels are quite helpful for not only public sectors but also private sectors to have rational choice on cloud computing solutions.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, I think we certainly agree transparency and accountability are really key to the whole security debate. And you mentioned the cloud first policy, which the White House has adopted here in the United States, and I'm assuming everyone in the audience knows about that. Basically, the directive is that when evaluating options for new IT deployments, OMB will require that agencies default to cloud-based solutions whenever a secure, reliable, cost-effective cloud option exists. And further goes on to ask each agency is required to identify 3 must-move services and create a project plan for migrating each of them to cloud solutions and retiring the associated legacy systems. And of these 3, at least one must fully migrate within 12 months. And there's a staggered schedule for the others. And not to get into the specifics of the Cloud First program, but how do you view that in terms of the message that a policy like that sends to government, not only in the US, but in Japan as well? And is METI contemplating anything in that direction?
Well, I think it's a good moment. Well, it generates a good momentum for each agency's CIOs to seriously look about the cloud alternatives in those. So, naturally, they tend to play safe. And safe means not safe, but go again and iterate the precedents. It's easy for them to defend their own actions. So I don't know the uniform 3 applications is a good idea or not, but it's a simple and very strong message, wake-up call for CIOs to at least substantiate their position, even if they can't find out the appropriate application areas in that short time, but still they have to defend themselves. Why not go for cloud? That is the changing the balance of the table, and it's a very innovative way or a strong message for that. And as I said, but it's not only CIOs. It should hand in hand with the general business process reform or administrative process. That's the hard part. Go for cloud is relatively easy in comparison with the business process reform. That is not only it's related to the service levels, related to the personnel policies, it's related to the budget. All those stakeholders and hanging on the current practice. So. If it works well, this presidential message and federal government CIOs go for cloud is well received by the each agency. That means that each agency's CIOs has a good grip, or at least collaboration of those business reform side of each agency. And we like to see that kind of tight collaboration in Japanese government, and we are still in the middle of establishing those virtuous cycle of new IC technologies, business process reform, and that add to the new values of renovated public services, value for citizens.
Yes, actually I think that's a very good phrase, virtuous cycle, because I think as agencies get into cloud solutions, they realize that it's easier to adopt, to build, to extend, and that then leads to changes over time within the agency. So let me ask you about international policy now. Clearly something METI focuses on, and there's a US-Japan bilateral cloud computing dialogue that goes on government to government, where the two governments are sharing best practices, policies, their view of how the whole cloud market is moving. And I think, as we all know, there are massive flows of data around the world associated with cloud computing. Just, I forget how many exabytes are there, but it's just astronomical. So as METI thinks about the international policies which are necessary to really facilitate the growth of the international cloud market, what sorts of issues do you focus on?
Well, as you all know, cloud services or cloud computing solutions are intrinsically global. They do not respect for border, and technologically speaking. But we have a distinctive jurisdictions across, and then if we data flow or service across the borders, they are under other different level of compliance needs and different level of regulations and those. Privacy and data protection is a notable issues, and some with good reasons. Different cultural background, different needs from the citizens have a different level of regulation than others. And some are unnecessary, but if we have a more harmonized APIs or data format and all those, we probably have a less cost of transferring data from one to another. So it's not only the government-to-government process, it's also including a business-to-business or business association and business association, or even or standard organization also jump into this endeavor. I think that those broad channel of dialogues and facilitating convergence of practices is quite important, especially in the cloud computing area. This market is developing, and standard and business practices are still in the middle of development. And a cloud or those sensor network data and all those things are something new and at least aggravating public concern on privacy and data protection. So those are the things that every government have to face and hammering out their own idea or their own way to solutions. So earlier the better. We have a good dialogues, and if we have a common elements among each government's efforts, then it's better to harmonize first and build it in the design of common data format or the standardization of APIs or interface or whatever. And so that we have to avoid, we can avoid the a much harder harmonization or process in later stage, and that's the idea. So that Japanese government are now broadening their communication with partner companies, including United States, and we are helping Japanese private sector establishing so-called Japan Cloud Consortium. That is the common fora for Japanese stakeholders in cloud computing services to exchange views and building some common leading case for certain application areas. And that would soon have a dialogue with the US counterparts, either vendors or standards bodies. And with facilitating those communications, I hope to see a much easier and free flow of information across the borders, especially on the cloud platform.
Yes. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground, and I'd like to just open it up quickly to questions from the audience, if there's any questions for Tojo-san. Yes?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we are now pushing forward on those video conference or those new communication tools to facilitate collaboration and saving money to sending officials here and there and across borders. Unfortunately, it is not yet a common tools across ministries. There is a couple of cases which, in limited cases, to use those technologies. But in next round of IT architecture in my ministries, definitely including those kind of remote office, remote communication platform, there would be other ministries as well. For a certain use case, even the limited handy web-based telecommunication would suffice for enhancing collaboration and communication across borders. So I think that we are now looking for the couple of market solutions and which is the best for trials to get in those type of services. So if you have a good proposals, we are open for those.
I think that's what you wanted to hear, Tojo-san. So perhaps you can talk at the break. I think we just have time for a couple of more questions. Yes.
Because I was going to throw out a quick question, but
Let's go here first, and then we'll come back to you.
Hi, I'm Bobby Browning from GovDelivery, and my question is, are you seeing and are you promoting collaboration among your external stakeholders in the context of community building and community management, where you're actually seeing more engagement in the social media environment that's taking it beyond just the superficial level?
Okay, well, yes, I think that the cloud computing would be beneficial for truly community. I'm not sure I understand your question correctly, but
Could you just rephrase that quickly? You need the microphone back.
Sorry.
If I go back to your concept around the different types of clouds, and let's take the private cloud example. That's really a hyper, hybrid, if you will.
Yeah.
And let's take that you have where you would take advantage of a cloud environment to have collaboration where part of that exercise is actually building community and getting people engaged. So not, the cloud itself is, the platform is nothing more than the technology, and there's lots of solutions. My question really is more around what are you seeing and doing in the context of truly taking that to the next step where you're reaching out and creating that community and then building upon it and managing it so that you can get the results and the interaction that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So can I just interrupt? Let's get the other question too. So it's a collaboration question, really.
It's really a community building and management question, beyond collaboration.
All right, so community building and management question. We'll have one more, and then I think.
Okay, and mine's just a quickie. I was impressed that you were saying your jurisdictions are divided actually by data flow. Because there's one thing I was going to ask Don is there's a lot of focus on security, but I'm very focused also on privacy, data protection in Europe, et cetera, and you've got APEC, alignment on the privacy piece. Are you involved from a process standpoint on service delivery, which would then tie you to some of the like ETOM or ITUT standards and business cases that are being defined today that are going to be very, very prevalent in terms of processes and data flows that are going to be very, very vital from the business side versus just the technology side?
So thank you. Not such a short question, pretty complicated. However, so if you want to respond to community building and then privacy and data process rules.
Yes, we see that the community building is one of the promising area of development, especially for, in Japanese case, on the social security, say, caring for elderly or the facilitating patient-to-patient or doctor-patient collaboration. And from central government view. And the local government is much more active to using social network functions or other collaboration platform to invigorate invigorate the citizens' participation in public activities and community activities. Some are connected to electric e-credit and vouchers, and which incentivize their own citizens to get into a much more on those public goods type of activities, and you can find, you can find the similar kind of activities in the United States, and that type of activities also now starting to proliferating in Japan as well. And central government, local government in their own field try to push for that kind of solutions for future, yes. And for the business use and the international protocol and those. Yes, I myself not directly engaged in ITU since it's more in front of the Ministry of Communications, telecommunications in charge of. But we are in close collaboration, and I myself engaging in OECD and Privacy Commissioners Conference and all those, and trying to make an input on those the privacy code now in review. And I think the things are, well, every players understand that the value of cross-border data flows, and using what's they call privacy by design or privacy enhancing technologies can have transcending a new balance between data and privacy protection and the value of free flows and secondary use of those data. So I think that it's imperative for not only those legal experts and policymakers, but also new technological solution or technological experts are joining in the debates and how the recent available technologies can contribute to the higher level of balance of those two needs. And I'm happy to cooperate international players, and including you, and debate now taking place in various forums, and that should be in some coordination in near future with the effort of United States and Japan and other same-minded countries.
Well, thank you, Tojo-san. We're out of time, and I would just like to say we are honored that you flew from Tokyo to join us today. I personally think there is a tremendous opportunity for the United States and Japan, not only governments, but the private sector to work together to facilitate the global cloud computing market. And again, this is the expert from METI on cloud computing. As you can see, he is very knowledgeable, so I would encourage all of you to talk with him during the break and leverage his expertise. So, Rihanna, thank you.
Thank you very much.